Aria Stone's feet ached and shoes held together with super glue as she stood alone by the towering floral arrangement. The emerald dress, $12 at the Salvation Army, steamed carefully in her tiny bathroom, suddenly felt like a costume, a lie she couldn't pull off. Around her, women in designer gowns laughed with practiced ease, while men in custom suits discussed investments. Her mother's latest hospital bill, $27,000, felt like a stone in her chest. "You there?" A drunk voice slurred behind her. Gerald Ashworth swayed in his tuxedo, looking her up and down with contempt. "Fetch me another scotch, would you?" The assumption that her cheap dress meant she was staff hit like a slap. Aria's brown eyes burned with humiliation. She was about to flee when a commanding presence cut through the crowd. Dr. Knox Remington appeared like something out of a magazine, 6 feet 2 inches, blonde, devastating in his navy suit. His blue-gray eyes locked onto hers with laser focus as he crossed to her with purposeful strides. Without breaking eye contact, he leaned in close, his lips nearly brushing her ear. "Pretend to be my wife," he whispered, his breath warm against her skin. Aria's lips parted in shock, her eyes going wide. Before she could process, his hand found her waist, possessive, warm, pulling her emerald-clad body against his navy suit. "Mother," he announced to his stunned parent and the gathering crowd, his voice smooth as silk, "I'd like you to finally meet my wife, Aria." The ballroom gasped. Knox's hand tightened on her waist as he led her to the dance floor. Emerald and navy swirled together, his breath against her temple, her fingers trembling against his shoulder. For 3 impossible minutes, she was Cinderella. Then he handed her a business card. Heavy stock, expensive, and reality crashed back. "Tomorrow, 2 p.m. My office," he murmured. "We need to discuss terms." He disappeared into the crowd, leaving her clutching that card, her heart racing, her world forever changed by 6 whispered words. "Pretend to be my wife." Reality tasted like burnt coffee and broken dreams. Aria's feet ached as she refilled ketchup bottles during the Tuesday lunch lull, the familiar ritual of double shifts stretching ahead like a life sentence. The emerald dress hung in her closet at home, still smelling faintly of expensive perfume, a ghost of a world that wasn't hers. Medical bills covered her kitchen table like accusations. The diner bell chimed. Every head turned, because walking into their faded Formica world was a man who clearly belonged somewhere else entirely. Knox Remington looked like a magazine cover come to life in his dark navy suit, blonde hair perfectly styled, blue-gray eyes scanning the dingy space with clinical precision. He was beautiful and impossibly out of place, just as she'd been at that wedding. Their eyes met across the diner. He walked directly to her corner booth and sat. "You didn't show yesterday," he said quietly. "I had to work." Aria's voice was steadier than she felt. She was in her stained waitress uniform, but she met his gaze with quiet dignity. Knox pulled out a tablet. "Then I'll be direct. 1 year as my wife. Public appearances, social events. In exchange, I clear every debt you have. Your mother transfers to Remington General under my personal care. The best cardiac team in the country. It was everything. Everything she prayed for." "What's the catch?" His jaw tightened. He scrolled to a highlighted section. Article 11. Read it. Emotional attachment termination clause. Should either party develop genuine romantic feelings, agreement terminates immediately. All future financial obligations, including ongoing medical care, cease. "You're insane," Aria breathed. "If either of us falls in love, my mother loses her health care? If either of us develops feelings and admits it, yes." His voice was clinical. "I don't do emotional variables. This is business. We perform for cameras. Maintain separate lives privately, and absolutely do not complicate this with feelings. Why this clause? Pain flickered across his face. Because my ex-wife said she loved me while sleeping with my business partner. I won't be vulnerable again. The tablet glowed between them. Behind the counter, Romana watched with curiosity. Outside, sirens wailed. Aria thought of her mother's tired smile, her labored breathing. Her hand trembled as she signed. The screen flashed, accepted. Knox's expression didn't change, but his hand clenched briefly. "A car will pick you up at 6, he said, already standing. "Your mother will be transferred tomorrow." He was gone, leaving Aria with a tablet showing her new impossible life. Mrs. Knox Remington. For 1 year, without falling in love, the game was rigged from the start. The penthouse was a monument to emotional distance. All glass walls, white marble, and cold steel floating 40 stories above Manhattan. Everything pristine. Everything lonely. "Your quarters are in the East Wing," Knox said, his tone clinical. "I'm in the West." Physical distance helps maintain emotional clarity. The reminder stung. "Don't forget the contract." He assessed her standing there in jeans and a sweater. "Acceptable," he said finally, the word devoid of warmth. But Aria caught the way his blue-gray eyes lingered on her dark waves before he shuttered his expression. Thursday arrived too quickly. Stylist descended, transforming her with efficient precision. The emerald silk dress flowed like water, the same shade as her thrift store find but a world apart in quality. Knox emerged in his navy tuxedo, adjusting his cufflinks. He looked up, stopped. For one crystalline moment, his control slipped, his lips parting slightly, his gaze traveling from her styled hair to the emerald silk. "You look," he stopped, jaw tightening. "Acceptable." But the word came out rough. At the fundraiser, they were perfect actors. Knox's hand found her back, navy sleeve against emerald fabric, keeping her close. He leaned down to whisper observations that made her laugh despite herself. "Senator Morrison's toupee is listing to port." Her genuine laugh surprised them both. Their eyes caught, held. Knox's hand shifted, fingers splaying wider, pulling her closer. Aria's breath caught. She could feel the warmth of him through the silk. He leaned down to kiss her cheek, a gesture for their audience. But his lips lingered against her skin, warm and trembling. His fingers tightened on her waist. For 3 heartbeats, the world stopped. Then Knox jerked back. His hand dropped. "I need air," he said abruptly, striding away. Later, Aria stood before her mirror in the emerald gown, fingers touching her cheek where his kiss had been. In his wing, Knox stared at his hand, the one that had held her like it belonged to someone else. The walls were crumbling, and they both knew it. The flu hit Aria like a freight train 3 days after the fundraiser, stress and exhaustion finally claiming their due. She woke shivering and burning simultaneously, her head pounding, throat raw. No makeup, no armor, just vulnerability in an oversized t-shirt with her dark waves tangled across sweat-dampened pillows. Knox found her trying to make tea in the kitchen, swaying on her feet. "Bed. Now." His voice was pure surgeon, no room for argument. When she tried to protest, he simply swept her into his arms and carried her back to her room, his strength effortless. "I have to," she mumbled feverishly. "You have to do nothing except rest." He pressed the back of his hand to her forehead, his touch clinical but gentle. Then he did something that shocked them both. He canceled his afternoon surgeries. Knox Remington never canceled surgeries. He appeared hours later with medication. Soup water. The navy jacket was gone, white shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal surprisingly muscular forms. He moved with efficient grace, the consummate caretaker, checking her temperature with professional detachment that didn't quite mask the worry in his blue-gray eyes. Night fell. Aria drifted in fevered half-sleep, aware of his presence like an anchor in the dark. She woke once to find him sitting in the chair beside her bed, lamplight casting shadows across his features. His hand rested on her forehead, fingers sliding down to her temple in slow, soothing strokes. Her brown eyes fluttered open, caught him watching her with an expression so unguarded it stole her breath. Tenderness, concern, something deeper that made her heart stutter. His thumb traced her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. Surgeon's hands, trained for precision, capable of such carrot hurt. Their eyes met, held. Knox's hand trembled. The realization crashed over him. He'd broken his own rule. Was breaking it right now, touching her like she was precious, looking at her like she was more than a contract. He jerked back as if electrocuted, grabbed his navy jacket like armor, already backing toward the door. Your fever's breaking, he managed, voice rough. You'll be fine. Then he fled. Morning brought a fresh navy suit, perfect hair, rebuilt walls. But when his eyes landed on her across the breakfast table, something cracked in that ice. They both felt it. The walls were crumbling, and neither knew how to stop the fall. Florence was a trap disguised as paradise. The Neurosymposium required 3 days of forced proximity, shared suite with separate bedrooms, morning coffee on their terrace overlooking the Arno, golden Italian sunlight making everything feel softer. Knox wore lighter suits, navy linen instead of wool, and somehow the reduction in armor made him more dangerous. Aria in flowing sundresses, emerald her signature now, comfortable in their shared palette. Every photo opportunity recreated that viral wedding moment. Knox leaning close to whisper in her ear, his breath warm against her skin, her eyes wide and luminous. Except now it wasn't performance. Now his whispered observations made her genuinely laugh, and the photographers captured something raw and real. You two are so natural together, the photographer gushed during their Ponte Vecchio shoot, navy and emerald against ancient stone. Just like that wedding photo that went viral. The chemistry is incredible. Chemistry. The word hung between them like a confession. They fell into an easy rhythm, gelato at sunset, wandering cobblestone streets arm in arm, Aria sketching the Duomo, while Knox watched with unguarded fascination, his jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up, walls finally crumbling. I wanted to go to art school, she admitted, sitting on sun-warmed piazza steps. Before Mom got sick, before everything became about survival. His blue-gray eyes were warm, genuinely interested. You still could. After, he stopped. After the year. After the divorce. After they went their separate ways. The unspoken ending hurt more than it should. That night, they stumbled upon a moonlit piazza where a violinist played something hauntingly romantic. Other couples swayed together, wrapped in each other. The music pulled them closer like gravity. Knox's hands rose to frame her face, exactly like the wedding photo, that intimate proximity that had launched 1,000 gossip columns, but this time with permission. With desire. Her brown eyes fluttered closed. His lips hovered over hers, breath mingling, navy and emerald bodies pressed close enough to feel heartbeats. Aria! His voice broke. Then reality crashed back. The contract. Article 11. The trap they'd built themselves. They jerked apart simultaneously, both pale, both trembling. The flight home was suffocating silence. Dark sunglasses hiding eyes that revealed too much. Sitting apart, not touching, pretending Florence hadn't changed everything. But lies, they were learning, only worked if you could believe them. And neither of them could anymore. The book dropped like a bomb on a Tuesday morning. The Ice King's Meltdown, My Life with Dr. Heartless by Scarlett Vaughn. The cover showed a man in a navy suit, faceless but unmistakably evocative of Knox, standing alone in an operating room, scalpel in hand. The subtext was clear: a man who cuts out hearts, including his own. Aria watched it go viral in real time. Excerpts flooded social media, carefully crafted lies about Knox's surgical precision in destroying emotions, fabricated quotes about his pathological inability to love, portrayals of him as a monster in expensive suits. Then their wedding photo resurfaced. That intimate moment, Knox leaning close, whispering in her ear, her shocked expression frozen forever. The captions were vicious. His new victim, / another contract bride, / that look on her face. She had no idea what she was getting into. Aria found him in his study as twilight bled the color from the sky. Navy jacket discarded on the floor, tie pulled loose, white shirt unbuttoned at the collar. Whiskey glass in hand, blue-gray eyes hollow and unseeing as he stared at his tablet displaying the character assassination. He looked destroyed. "Knox! Don't!" His voice was raw. "She's right. Everything she wrote. I am exactly what she says." Rage ignited in Aria's chest, white-hot and protective. She crossed the room, took the whiskey glass from his hand, set it down with controlled force. "The man she describes is not the man I know," she said fiercely, her brown eyes blazing. "She doesn't know about the man who canceled surgeries to take care of me when I had the flu, who laughed with me over gelato in Florence, who held me on Ponte Vecchio like I was precious, who whispered, 'Pretend to be my wife, not to use me, but to save us both.'" Knox's eyes lifted to hers, and she saw it, the exact moment his carefully constructed walls shattered completely. "Aria!" Her name was a prayer, a confession, a surrender. He moved. Or she did. It didn't matter. His hands tangled in her dark waves, her fingers clutched his open collar, and then his mouth crashed down on hers with desperate, hungry need. All the tension since that first whisper exploded. This wasn't the careful performance of a fundraiser or the restrained, almost kiss in Florence. This was truth, raw and undeniable and devastating. He lifted her onto his desk, paper scattering. Her legs wrapped around his waist, emerald dress riding up, navy trousers pressed against bare thigh. His kiss was fierce, claiming, like he was trying to prove Scarlett wrong with every breath. Her hands were in his blonde hair, ruining the perfect style. His mouth moved to her jaw, her throat, her collarbone, each kiss burning like a brand. "Knox!" she gasped. They froze simultaneously, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together, reality crashing back with brutal clarity. Article 11. Emotional Attachment Termination Clause. They'd just broken the contract. Horror dawned in his blue-gray eyes, mirrored in her brown ones. "Oh, God!" Aria whispered. "What have we done?" The old apartment felt like a prison after the penthouse, cramped, dingy, colorless. Aria wore simple clothes, no emerald silk, and tried to convince herself this was freedom. But freedom, she discovered, felt a lot like grief. Her mother noticed immediately. "You're mourning, honey." "I'm not mourning the money," Aria whispered, staring at her hands. "I'm mourning him." Knox wanted the penthouse in jeans and a white t-shirt, the first time he'd worn anything but suits in years. The navy jackets hung unused in his closet like armor he'd forgotten how to wear. He touched surfaces she touched, sat in chairs she'd occupied, slowly going insane in the silence. His phone displayed the viral wedding photo, him leaning close, whispering in her ear, her shocked expression captured forever. He stared at it for hours, finally understanding. "I fell in love with her in that moment. When I whispered, "Pretend to be my wife," before I even knew her name, Evelyn found him unshaven, disheveled, a state so shocking she actually gasped. "You're a brilliant, brilliant idiot," his mother said, sitting beside him. "That girl didn't fall in love with your money or name. She fell in love with the man brave enough to take off his armor. I saw it in that photo. Even shocked, she looked at you like you hung the moon." She paused. "Go get her." She laughed. "Then give her a reason to come back. Not a contract. A choice." Knox found Aria at Romano's diner, sitting alone by the window in a simple gray dress, dark waves falling over her shoulder, brown eyes distant and sad. The bell chimed. She looked up, froze. He walked to her table. No navy suit, no armor, just a man in jeans with messy blonde hair and vulnerable blue-gray eyes, and sat down. "I'm not here with a contract," he said quietly. He slid a plane ticket across the table. "First class, open-ended, anywhere in the world. You're free, Aria. Your mother's care is guaranteed forever, no conditions. You can go anywhere, be anyone, build any life you want." His voice cracked. "And I will never bother you again." He stood to leave, giving her the choice he should have offered from the beginning. "But I hope," he whispered, pausing at the door, "you choose me." Then he walked out, leaving her holding a ticket to freedom, and the impossible choice between the world and the man who'd whispered in her ear and changed everything. Aria left the ticket on the table and ran. She found him by his car, head down, shoulders tight with the weight of a man who'd just offered everything and expected nothing. The afternoon sun caught his blonde hair, and he looked so alone it broke her heart. "Knox!" He turned, blue-gray eyes wide, hopeful, terrified, disbelieving. "I don't want a ticket to the world," she said, walking to him with steady brown eyes that held no more fear. "I already have my world. It's here, with you." He crossed the distance in 2 strides, hands framing her face exactly like that first photograph, the one that had gone viral, the one that had started everything. But this time, when his forehead pressed to hers, there was no performance, just truth. "I thought I'd lost you," he whispered. "Never." She rose on her toes. "I love you." His kiss was slow, sweet, honest, no desperation, no armor. Just Knox and Aria, choosing each other without contracts or clauses. Real courtship was discovering Knox in jeans and messy hair, morning coffee shared in comfortable silence. He converted a penthouse room into an art studio for her, floor-to-ceiling windows, northern light, supplies she'd only dreamed of affording. "Paint," he said simply. "Create. I'll handle everything else." Emerald and navy became their colors again, but now they meant unity, not separation. 6 months later, Knox brought her back to the Ashford Hotel rooftop where they first talked after that dance. Candles flickered in the twilight. A violinist played the same Florence, melody that had almost destroyed them. He knelt, pulled out a ring, blue-gray eyes filled with tears. "Our contract is over, Aria, but I find myself wanting to propose a new one, a permanent one." His voice cracked. "You came into my life as a variable I couldn't control, and you became the only thing I can't live without. Our first agreement had an impossible clause. I want to make you a new one. No clauses, no conditions, no end date." "Yes," she laughed through tears. "Yes, yes, yes." The ring slid on perfectly. Their kiss promised forever. 1 year later, they married in an intimate garden ceremony. Aria in emerald silk that flowed like water. Knox in navy that finally represented depth, not ice. The photographer captured them in that exact position from the viral wedding photo, him leaning close, whispering in her ear. But now her expression was radiant joy, not shock. Her lips curved in a smile instead of parted in surprise. Her eyes shone with certainty, not confusion. At the reception, Knox produced a cocktail napkin with one sentence. Party A, Knox, and Party B, Aria, hereby agree to break the emotional attachment termination clause joyfully and with extreme prejudice every single day for the rest of their lives. They signed it together, laughing, using the fountain as their desk. He folded it carefully, placed it in his navy jacket pocket close to his heart. Binding for a lifetime. Their last dance swirled emerald and navy together under string lights. He leaned close, that intimate proximity captured so perfectly in their first photograph, and whispered against her ear, I love you, Mrs. Remington. She smiled, brown eyes shining. I choose you. Every day. Forever. The photo that had started as evidence of a transaction became proof of the moment their real story began. Love hadn't destroyed them. It had saved them both.